Nobody does it, Bennett. Yes, I've gone and said it. Movies and games, some things that are lame. Nobody does it, Bennett. Meh.
Good evening and welcome. There are some superb movies ahead on Movie Review Universe. Next time, we'll join Kurt Russell as he walks through a puddle and fights an Egyptian god in the 1994 movie Stargate. Right now though, it's time for The Frighteners. Hello and welcome to Nobody Does It Bennett, Movie Review Universe, otherwise known as the MRU. I am your host, The Greg Bennett Experience, and tonight I'm joined by Tenson as we kick off the spooky month of October with The Frighteners from 1996. Tenson, welcome back to the show.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Wasn't that long ago with Spider-Man. Are you excited and maybe a little frightened to be covering this movie?
Yes, I'd say I'm very excited. It's a movie that I've wondered how I haven't seen it like a lot earlier because I've just watched it recently because I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it more.
There's something like when you said you hadn't seen it recently, I was like, damn, because I remember seeing it for the first time when I was 13.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to have someone else's interpretation of a movie that's, 26 years old now?
26, yeah.
And see if it still holds up.
Yeah, it was its 25th anniversary last year.
Oh my God, where does the time go?
Literally.
What do you think of the director of this, Sir Peter Jackson?
What can I say about Peter Jackson? I mean, he's truly an incredible filmmaker. Like, it's crazy that he made this film just right before he'd become the Lord of the Rings director. I love his movies. I think he really put New Zealand on the map throughout all of the films that he's made, and incredible director.
Yeah, no, Sir Peter Jackson, for like I didn't know who he was obviously when I first saw this. But now, you look back at it and go, damn, it's incredible what talent he got for this before he was even known.
Oh, definitely. Michael J. Fox, for one, but Robert Zemeckis as well.
Yeah, and Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
For the music. I'm like, how did he get these guys when he was just kind of an unknown?
I mean, the thing is, Danny Elfman, this is the sort of movie that I'd expect him to score because it's right up his alley because he'd scored Tim Burton's movies before this, and they feel very similar to The Frighteners in a way, like Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice. But even when he did Heavenly Creatures, he was working with Kate Winslet, but I mean, back then she was
pre-Titanic.
First role. It's crazy to think the amount of talent that he worked with so early on in his career.
So for me, Sir Peter Jackson has become a massive figure obviously in the film industry, especially here in New Zealand. With the Lord of the Rings films, he has simply transformed the industry. I saw The Frighteners at a mate's birthday party when I was about 13 years old. I actually went to see The Fellowship of the Ring back in 2001. Because it was from the same director as The Frighteners. Not because I was a big fan of Lord of the Rings. I wasn't.
Didn't read the books.
Didn't read the books, and a lot of promotion for it when it came out.
It's not thought to have been able to be shot or turned into film. So I think that's why it was so hyped.
So I go, you want to go see Lord of the Rings? I was like, yeah, I kind of do, but I guess not. I'm not a huge fantasy guy. But when someone said it's actually from the director of The Frighteners, I'm like, oh, really? Because The Frighteners is a damn good movie.
That's piqued your interest.
Yeah, I was like, oh, the guy who made the Michael J. Fox film? Yeah.
That's so weird for me because, Lord of the Rings was obviously massive, and I'd say The Frighteners is quite a little known, New Zealand movie, which is interesting to hear that you didn't really know much about Lord of the Rings before.
I got mixed up with Lord of the Dance.
Oh, yeah.
So I used to hear Lord of the Rings isn't that the thing they make a dance out of? I was very, very naive to the world of Lord of the Rings.
Now look at you. Now you're a big Lord of the Rings
Now
fan.
look at me. Now I love the movies.
I mean, you've got the map of Lord of the Rings.
Middle Earth behind me. Yeah.
Yes.
I've been there and back again with Lord of the Rings.
You have.
Oh, goodness gracious. This movie scared the heck out of me when I first saw it. Yes, it is lighter in tone than other horror films, but had enough horror elements to really unsettle you in a good way. I think this movie does that. unsettles.
Yeah, I think that's why I like it. I think it's the perfect blend between like horror and frightening, and comedy, because
Like
there's
that frightening.
there's a lot of humor in it, especially the ghosts. Like, I think they're hilarious.
Yeah, but there's never too much humor.
No, I think it's definitely balanced quite well.
Because no one in this is a comedian, really, as well.
No.
Everyone is just kind of serious drama actors that can do comedy. Like, I never considered Michael J. Fox a comedian or anything like that.
What I think, like, Peter Jackson's, like, even real earlier films were like horror as well as like splatter comedies. So this is sort of another take on it, but without the splatter.
Yeah, more drama, I think, to it
Yeah,
too.
definitely.
The Frighteners does have effects and scenes that hint towards the future Lord of the Rings films, but also has a lot of things that call back to Peter Jackson's horror past. Elements of movies such as Bad Taste, Brain Dead, or Dead Alive if you're in the US, and to a lesser extent, Meet the Feebles.
Absolutely.
Even though it's a step up for Peter Jackson, because everything's just it's interesting that you watch like Bad Taste. Obviously, it's his film he made of like 4 years by himself with his mates.
Over weekends.
Then like Meet the Feebles is another step up from that, and then Brain Dead's another step up from that. But then this is like, because when you go, how do you go from Brain Dead to Lord of the Rings? And Frighteners is that in between.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, it's the film that probably had to be made before he did Lord of the Rings.
I think so too. I think it was a very important way to show that he could actually handle it.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know if they would have seen Meet the Feebles and stuff and gone, you know what, this guy could do a Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Early Weta Workshop as well. The effects that they did on this movie for its time, amazing. Some of it still holds up today.
And it wasn't a huge budget, I don't think, either.
No, definitely. Not compared to The Lord of the Rings, anyway.
No, well, slightly different in there, yeah.
Yeah, different context.
I look back at this and really thank Robert Zemeckis for producing this and getting the likes of Michael J. Fox involved in what could have just been a quirky wee New Zealand film. Having them on board, not to mention Danny Elfman as the composer, helped this feel like a genuine Hollywood production, and no doubt helped Peter Jackson in his quest to get the Lord of the Rings films made. On a side note, Alice, who has been a co-host on the show before, her dad was an extra on The Frighteners.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, back in the day.
That's very cool.
A lot of people that not a lot of people in New Zealand, but there's quite a few people that go, yeah, I was an extra on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Not a lot that can say they were extra on The Frighteners.
No, especially a much smaller film like that.
Yeah, cool thing.
Cool fact.
If you like what you hear or have any suggestions or thoughts for us, who knows, it might be about The Frighteners. Well, you can contact us by going to Nobody Does It Bennett Facebook page or by hitting us up on the Twitter at NobodyDIBennett. You can also email us at nobodydoesitbennett@outlook.com or by going to our website, nobodydoesitbennett.buzzsprout.com. Nobody Does It Bennett is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and other podcast outlets. Nobody Does It Bennett is now also available on YouTube, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Tenson, are you ready to have an out-of-body experience?
Always.
It's like, this is not the first time.
No. Done this a few times now.
Tenson on the Saturday nights, just, watch out. Out-of-body experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, The Frighteners from 1996.
Nobody Does It Bennett. Movie reviews and pitches.
Movie begins with some chilling yet fun organ-like music with the Universal logo. Had a Beetlejuice and Addams Family vibe to it. This that kind of music.
Yeah, that made me realise it was Danny Elfman that scored the movie.
I think that's when I started hearing the choir stuff. It was like,
Yeah.
And then obviously it came up in the credits, but I was like, that sounds like Beetlejuice.
It feels quite gothic.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a cool way to start too.
For sure.
Put you in the vibe straight away. Cut to an old-looking castle-like mansion during a thunderstorm. A woman inside the house is screaming. You then see the woman run down the stairs from someone or something. An old lady who is also in the house gets up saying that it's wrong. She's too young. The sins of the flesh will ruin her. The younger lady is hiding behind a couch in the living room, begging for the intruder not to hurt her. An entity in the wall comes out and starts to strangle the lady. What is great about this shot is that the entity morphs the wall around its body. The entity is the wall itself. It's a really cool shot.
This is some of the effects that still hold up today, in my opinion.
Yeah, and such a unique kind of character to have the house come to life.
Oh, definitely.
I've watched this many times, but when she's too young, it's like, what are you talking about? It's like almost deliberately trying to falsely throw you into another way.
Yeah, definitely.
Or is this, the intro maybe an interpretation that maybe Patricia is trying to show you. Maybe it's not the truth, because the old lady's acting really weird.
Yeah, that's why I think it pulls the wool over your eyes, and you think the old lady is just a bit crazy the way she's acting.
Yeah, because she doesn't really seem to do anything to help the situation. The rest of the movie, she's yelling at Patricia to go back to her room, and she knows she's evil. But in this first opening intro, it's kind of like it doesn't really fit every other kind of personality trait of the rest of the movie.
No, definitely. It feels different. I do love this opening scene, though. I think it really puts you in the movie in the most perfect way.
It's really, really good intro. Yeah, but definitely. It's just, as I watch it again, I was like, there's a lot of like weird things that happen that don't make sense for the rest of the film. Yeah. I'm not saying that as a plot problem. As like I said, it could be Patricia. Maybe this is her interpretation of maybe telling Lucy or something, but you never really know for sure.
No, doesn't reveal its secrets.
Is it secret? Is it safe? Oh, there we go.
A reference there.
Already, Lord of the Rings. The lady breaks free from the entity's grasp, but continues being chased. The entity glides from wall to wall. Great effects for 1996. The lady goes into the kitchen, where the entity starts creating Ghostbusters-like havoc and destruction, knocking over cabinets and smashing plates. The entity even starts coming through the bottom of the table that the woman is hiding under. It's another cool shot. She's hiding underneath it and it comes through the table.
Yeah, definitely.
The lady cuts her hand on a piece of broken plate. The lady then gets chased up the stairs, the entity chasing behind her like a wave. The entity grabs the lady at the top of the stairs. The old woman comes out of her room with a shotgun.
The wicked will be punished.
That was good. I like that. So good. The old lady shoots the head off the entity, which was actually the floor. The entity then comes out of the floor and towards the camera, Ghostbusters style. The title appears, The Frighteners. Wow. What an opening scene.
I was terrified when I first watched this, and as I said earlier, it was only recently. I was like, man, what a great way to open the movie.
When I first saw this film, and I saw that, I was like, this whole movie is going to be about the walls coming to life.
Yeah.
It made me go, oh wow, this is like, is this going to like happen to everyone? Like the houses are going to start killing people?
Yeah.
So has there ever been a movie where literally the house is been killing people?
No, this would be, well, the only one I could think of.
Yeah, I mean, Poltergeist is close, but it's actually the burial ground underneath the house. And maybe like Event Horizon is a spaceship and does it, but there's never been a house that I've seen that comes to life.
No, I think this house like definitely has a creepy vibe to it though. It's quite gothic and there's something not quite right with it.
We see Ray later on when he's a ghost and he sees it. He sees the actual evil in it.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a cool shot.
Yeah.
It then cuts to a convoy of cars that are heading through town. It's a funeral procession. Meanwhile, the news journalist editor Magna Rees-Jones and one of her reporters are working on a story about a series of mysterious deaths in the town of Fairwater. Magda starts reading the draft of the story. The mystery heart condition that has killed over 30 people in less than 4 years has claimed another victim. Doctors are baffled as to why seemingly fit and healthy people are suffering massive heart attacks. Many of Fairwater's residents are claiming that the shadow of death has once again descended on the town. What's this shadow of death stuff? I don't like it.
It's what they're saying, Miss Rees-Jones. There's a lot of scared people out there.
Magna continues to read the story while it cuts to the local cemetery. For decades, the name Fairwater has been synonymous with death. Following the 1964 Bradley Bartlett murder spree. 30 years later, as the death toll steadily rises, it appears the Grim Reaper has once again returned to the quiet streets of Fairwater. Oh no, Steve. No. I asked for a new angle. Now give me something fresh. I want to see the human face of this tragedy. Get out there, talk to the families. I want to know how this thing has impacted the local community.
Yes, Miss Rees-Jones.
And Steve, no more references to death as a person. You get her straight away, it's like, she's annoying.
Yeah, she's quite irritating.
Yeah, when she died, I was like, bugger.
Yeah, I was like, secretly relieved.
Yeah, even when she's leaving, she's annoying when she's like floating up in the sky later on.
Yeah. Oh.
Cut back to the funeral in the cemetery. Steve is at the funeral. It's weird that they're talking about the story, then he's actually in the story.
Yeah, definitely.
A man with a striking resemblance to Marty McFly walked into the cemetery.
Back to the Future?
Oh, that guy looks like he's from Back to the Future.
Yes.
Maybe he's back from the future. The man walks up to the group at the funeral. I love how muddy and mucky the ground looks. Like he's walking through that, this
It feels very New Zealand.
It's like a paddock, isn't it?
Yeah.
The scene here has a real gloomy and dark undertone, giving it such a feel of hopelessness. The man starts handing out some business cards. The man is Frank Bannister, psychic investigator. Frank is a local man who is known for his ghost excavating business. Yeah, trying real hard here not to say Ghostbuster. Frank gets shooed away by some of the people at the funeral. Frank flings a heap of business cards at the crowd before leaving. He throws them in the strap in the air. It's like, doesn't even go far.
Yeah, it didn't really achieve anything.
Just wasted cards.
Yeah.
Frank heads back to his beat-up old car, where you can see the local newspaper with the story about Chuck Hughes' funeral. I thought when you started seeing the victims at the start of this too, that they were going to have more of an impact in this movie, but they don't.
No.
Apart from Harry later on, who's the guy that's in the cemetery, goes, I want to shake the hand of the man that actually defeated him.
He's the only one that has any lines, yeah.
Yeah, everyone else is kind of like a background thing.
Yeah.
It would have been cool, maybe at the end of the victims, or the reason they were the ones that were pulling Bartlett down from.
Yeah, that would have been a good take, good twist. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not Peter Jackson. I guess he's done all right for himself.
Not a bad movie.
Frank drives away. You watch Frank speed and slide along the roads on his way home. He's just such a reckless driver.
Yes, he's awful.
When they said his wife died in a car accident, I'm like, no way.
I see why, yeah. Well, I can't remember, what does he drop on the ground that makes him
his cards.
Yeah, his cards.
Why does he need to pick them up straight away?
Yeah, exactly. Nearly crashes into a truck.
Frank loses his business cards off his passenger seat and goes to pick them up. But when he does, he almost has a head-on collision with a truck. Just like you said there, Tenson.
Yes.
It's like you're a psychic. Frank swerves out of the way and through a white picket fence. A man comes out of his house looking very upset about his front yard. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! I don't believe this. This is not happening. My lawn. Yep, you've ruptured my lawn. Frank comes out of his car.
Whoa! Hey, how you doing? Just give me a call. I'll pay for the damages.
I love how excited that's great. It's like excited, Marty. Frank hands Ray a business card. You're damn right you gotta pay. I'm gonna sue your ass.
Let's not get litigious, alright? Send me a bill.
Ray reads the business card. Frank Bannister, psychic investigator?
That's right.
Well, that's a good one. How come you didn't see the corner coming, you stupid moron? Ray continues to rant to Frank as Frank starts to reverse his car out. Frank spots some garden gnomes and decides to run them over. Butzo! Oh, my Butzo! Frank drives off. Cut to Fairwater Hospital Sanatorium. A lady is driving up to an old-looking castle mansion. Yep, it's the place from the opening scene.
Creepy.
It is a very creepy-looking place.
It is. I would not want to live there.
I wouldn't want to stay there.
Yeah. Seen too many horror movies.
Including this one.
Yeah.
The old lady comes out to meet Lucy at the door.
This is private property.
Oh, Mrs. Bradley? I'm Dr. Linsky. I work at the medical center.
It's interesting that she's Dr. Linsky, because one of the girls from Heavenly Creatures is played by Melanie Linsky.
She's actually in this movie.
She is. She's got a small cameo. One of the cops. Yeah. I think that's, definitely intentional.
She was also in that 2.5 Men for a while.
Yes. Oh, we don't talk about that.
No, you don't. I know who works there.
I started there 3 months ago.
Dr. Cammons is my personal physician.
Yes, well, Dr. Cammons is attending a funeral, and I'm seeing his patients today. I don't know why she's English, but I'm going with it, alright? Yeah. Cut to Lucy bandaging up Patricia's hand.
She was cutting the vegetables when the knife slipped.
Well, a couple of stitches and she'll be fine. I'll drive you down to the clinic.
That's impossible.
It's a deep cut.
Then leave her some antibiotics.
Mother, please.
Patricia never leaves the house.
But it hurts.
To your room this instant.
Patricia walks out of the room. Lucy follows her. Weird that the old lady just lets Lucy walk after her.
Yeah.
What?
I feel like you'd not want Lucy to spend time with the daughter.
No, she's like, get out of here. Patricia, go upstairs. And Patricia goes upstairs. And Lucy just follows her straight away. It's like, old lady should be like, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of my house. Well, that's what she says.
But it takes 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It's weird. Patricia walks out of the room. Lucy follows her. Wait just a minute. Lucy notices bruising around Patricia's neck. Who did this to you?
I think you better go now, Dr. Linsky.
Lucy gets ushered out of the house.
You don't know who my daughter is, do you? Patricia's not to be trusted.
I beg your pardon? I never promised you a rose garden.
I can have her locked up anytime I want to. They said she was an accessory after the fact. I know the truth, It was cold-blooded murder.
I like this bit in the actual movie when she's like, I know the truth. It was cold-blooded murder. It's like, are you trying to sound like a storyteller when you say that? Because she like added a real emphasis.
Well, because then that leads into the newsreel footage of the hospital. Yeah,
Well, good transition, actually.
definitely.
Lucy drives off. Cut to a news documentary about 12 innocent people being gunned down by hospital orderly John Charles Bartlett at the Fairfield Sanitarium.
Any comments, Johnny?
Got me a score 12, sir. That's one more than Starkweather. 7 years earlier, Charles Starkweather had murdered 11 people in Nebraska killing spree. Guess that makes me public enemy number 1. 15-year-old Patricia Ann Bradley, daughter of the hospital administrator, was also implicated in the killings. They hardly talk about the father, though. Like, the father they talk about later on where he apparently committed suicide after the hospital. But was he the administrator? I guess he was.
Yeah, I'd say.
But they never talk about it. Like,
He's only mentioned in that one scene at the end, and that's it.
yeah, it's really weird.
With the ashes that Patricia says is her father's in that scene, yeah.
And that's it. And then this bit here where they talk about how she's the daughter of the administrator.
Yeah.
It's like nothing else ever comes like, whatever happened to him? Did he die in the shootings? I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's implied, but yeah, you don't know for sure.
No, maybe she killed him. Maybe that's why the mother's so upset.
Yeah.
She was madly in love with the psychopath Bartlett. Cut to Lucy sitting up in bed. She's watching the doco on the TV. Lucy pauses it. That's her. I was in her house this afternoon. The shot pulls out to reveal that Lucy's husband is Ray, the guy who was yelling at Frank earlier for crashing into his lawn. Ray is exercising. Well, that's just terrific, honey. We've been in town for 3 months and you're making friends with the Manson family? Lucy unpauses the TV. 2200 electric volts ended the life of Johnny Bartlett. As they threw the switch, he was heard to scream, I got me a score of 12. Beat that. In what some considered a miscarriage of justice, Patricia Ann Bradley was sentenced to life imprisonment, although it was never proven that she actively participated in the killings. Although later on, when the flashback scenes of Marty McFly, with Frank, he's Marty to me. He'll always be Marty McFly.
It's hard for him to like play any other characters because everyone just sees him from Back to the Future.
The flashback when he's under the bed, you see that she was actually shooting people in the bed. Yeah. It's interesting that it wasn't proven yet. How many eyewitnesses, because it's only 12 people died in the hospital, how many people were in the hospital?
There would have been a lot more that saw what had happened.
Saw her shooting people.
Yeah.
5 years ago, Patricia Bradley was granted a conditional release by the state governor. Today, she lives a reclusive life back in the family home. Ray turns the TV off. Should have fried her when they fried Bartlett. He's not wrong, though.
Yes. The one, like, good thing he says in the whole movie.
The whole time. She was 15 years old, you know. She just fell in love with the wrong guy. It could happen to anyone. And I think she's talking about herself there.
No.
No, Lucy. I think she's talking a little bit about herself because she doesn't like her marriage. Like later on, she says it like she fell in love with the wrong person. That could happen to anyone. So,
yeah, she says that at the dinner when they have dinner together.
yeah. That wasn't a happy marriage.
He seems like a bit of a tool, though.
Big, tall, like a guy that's so controlling as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a healthy relationship.
Sweetie, I don't want you going back up there. That place gives me the creeps. Ray then decides to try and seduce Lucy with wild animal sounds. As he is kissing Lucy all over, he notices one of Frank's business cards in the bedsheets. What the hell is this doing here? Did he come back to the house? Who? That moron who tore up my fence! The lights then begin to flicker, and the bedroom closet doors start to move. Something I mentioned as well was the guy that's actually Ray in this. Robert Zemeckis knew him before this because he's actually the guy in Forrest Gump that plays Elvis Presley who's teaching Forrest how to dance.
Oh, that's
It's
interesting.
actually the guy who plays Elvis.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
There you go.
Good fact.
You don't really see his face.
No, only from behind, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's where Zemeckis thought of him for this movie. So the lights then begin to flicker and the bedroom closet doors start to move. The bed then starts to rise up off the ground with Lucy on it.
More great effects in this scene as well.
Yeah, and another very Ghostbusters-like scene.
Definitely.
There was also a floating Elvis statue, huh?
Oh,
there we
there's
go.
the link.
There's the link to it. A little Easter egg. Ray grabs Lucy and they sit on the floor of the bedroom. Lucy then starts to get grabbed by a little red-haired fabric doll. It's like, yeah, trying to yank at her.
Yeah.
I bet the two ghosts must have a lot of fun just like scaring these people.
Oh, definitely. Like, Yeah, you can't imagine that they wouldn't.
But I still don't know what they get out of it for doing it.
No, it seems like Frank has all the benefits because he gets money from the guys that call him.
I'm guessing it's like because they otherwise have to just go and sleep in their in the graves. Yeah. There's no way for them to die unless they get killed by a big reaper.
Exactly.
To die again, I should say. So maybe that's why, so they don't have to like lie in the crypt for the next.
I guess it's more fun for them to like scare these people.
Yeah, and hang out on Frank makes it more interesting. Ray starts to hit it with a pillow. Lucy rings, she rings, Lord of the Rings, rings Frank's number from the business card. Lucy, I don't want that con man in my house. As Ray is saying that line, you can see a whole bunch of plates flying around the kitchen. I mean, there's got to be some kind of rational explanation for all of this. Ray, we have a poltergeist. Well, it's nothing the police can't handle. Cut to Frank answering this phone.
Bannister? Dr. Linsky? I'm on my way.
Cut to Frank arriving at Ray and Lucy's place. He crashes his car through more of the fence and crushes more of the gnomes. Frank enters the house.
Ah, persistent residue of the departed. Always a problem this time of year, Dr. Linsky.
He's like talking to Doc. That's so good. Oh yes, thank you. Thank you for coming.
The activity is currently located where?
Well, I don't know. It just went quiet about 5 minutes ago.
Wait, quiet? The dining room table spun in a counterclockwise direction.
I don't think that one happened, no.
The toilet seat lid banged up and down?
No.
Did the bed levitate?
Yeah, with me on it.
Spontaneous, recurrent psychokinesis.
Frank starts using some of the equipment as he looks around the house.
I love the gun with the holy water.
It's like automatic too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh, this could be the worst case I've ever seen. Oh yeah, this is bad. Okay, well, folks, I can do a clearance, but it's not gonna be cheap. Although I do offer a 6-month guarantee.
Well, he says it's not going to be cheap. I think he's going to say like thousands of dollars, but he doesn't actually say that much.
No, it's like, what, $200 or something?
$249. I'm like, whoa, that's actually pretty good.
Not a bad rate.
How much?
$249.95. But there is 30% surcharge for making the call after midnight. Then there's vehicle, gas. So I'd say the whole thing is going to set you back somewhere in the neighborhood of $450. Although, we could forget about the fence and call the whole thing even.
There's the plan, you know, this whole time. Ray looks like he's about to explode, but begrudgingly agrees to Frank's terms. Frank puts a device on that looks like a cross between a toaster and an old radio.
Yeah, it's a good way to describe it.
Frank sets up the device, then pulls out a gun to Lucy's sheer terror. But don't worry. It's just a water pistol loaded with holy water. Chew, 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 chew. I like how it stops and he taps it and it starts going again. Frank starts spraying items in the house. The toaster radio finishes and a wee small bag pops up at the top.
Okay, these belong to you. 6 ectoplasmic emanations. Don't worry, they can't escape. Some people like a souvenir. Where would you like me to put them?
Oh no, I really don't think we want to hang on to those. So thank you. Do we, hun? I could give a rat's ass. That guy's such a dick, isn't he? Frank disposes of the bag down the sink. Ray says that Frank can go now. Frank has a look of shock on his face when he sees that Ray has the number 37 marked on his forehead. It's in a ghostly type of writing that only Frank seems to see.
Looks like Harry's scarf from Harry Potter. Same sort of font.
But numbers.
Yes.
Frank gets thrown out of the house by Ray, as Lucy thanks Frank for his help. I like how Ray has his water pistol gun and he's pointing at him. Yeah. And then at the end,
get out of my house.
At the end, Lucy's like, give me the gun, and hands it back over to him.
Yeah.
Lucy closes the door and talks to Ray. Why do you always have to alienate everybody? As Lucy and Ray walk back into the living room, the audience sees the entity in the wall. Still love this effect. Frank arrives back home to his half-built house. There are tarp coverings all over the house. 2 ghosts come popping out of Frank's trunk. It's obvious straight away that not only can Frank see the ghosts, he can interact with them.
You know, you guys left me high and dry tonight. I get to the house, nothing's happening. I couldn't believe it. You guys didn't even bang the toilet seat lid. You made me look like an ass.
We strained our backs lifting that heavy-ass bed, Frank.
Oh yeah? Who was the idiot who put the number in the guy's forehead? It wasn't funny.
The 2 ghosts look confused about the number in the forehead.
Stop pulling your weight, guys, or you're going back to the cemetery.
The ghost effects in this film are pretty solid. You can see this design is quite similar to the ghost army in Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
Ah, that's an interesting point.
It was made by those who are dead.
And the dead keep it. Cut to the morning. There is a ghost dog throwing around a ghost bone in the house. Frank is eating cereal while Stuart talks about how a happy ghost is a productive ghost. Flies seem to stick to ghosts like crap in a blanket. He says another word, but you get the idea. But they don't really bring that point up again. It's just that one little scene again. I thought, is this going to be a payoff later on? Because maybe at the end when like Johnny's and stuff were around, if they didn't know where he was, they could see that flies sticking to him. I'm going to go to Peter Jackson and say, hey, Peter Jackson, I've got better ideas for you. Come listen to my better ideas, Peter Jackson, while you fly off in your private plane, all right?
Maybe you could rework the final script for Frighteners and be like, can I remake the movie for you?
Yeah, there's a couple little things that I've got an issue with.
Yeah.
You know, I've done the courtesy of rewriting it for you.
Please take into consideration.
Haha, very funny. You're a funny guy, Frank. You know, all of you think about it as yourself. I could complain too, you know. I would like some new clothes. You get to dress nicely, and here I am still looking like Link from the Mod Squad.
You died in the 70s. It's a bummer.
Frank sprays a fly with bug spray and ends up spraying Stuart's face away. The image looks disgustingly cool. Another cool shot. The bone the ghost dog is chewing on appears to be a jawbone. Another ghost comes into the room shooting off his ghost guns. The bullets seem to hurt ghosts as Stuart gets hit in the face and seems to be in incredible pain. This is actually a good payoff that shows you that actual ghost bullets actually kill ghosts.
Yeah, definitely. A cool effect.
Put the shooters away.
Frank grabs the jawbone off the dog and reattaches it to the old ghost face.
When a man's jawbone drops off, it's time to reassess the situation. I got myself a nice little grave up there at the cemetery. It could soon be time to lay down my bones.
I can't really remember what he sounds like.
He always sounds like this.
Yes.
The effects on Judge here are really cool. You can see his spine and his middle torso section. The Judge is played by John Aston, who played Gomez in the 1960s Addams Family TV show. He is also the father of Sean Aston, who was Samwise Gamgee in the Lord of the Rings movies.
I thought they may have been related with the same last name. Yeah,
That's
I
his
didn't
dad.
know for sure though. That's cool.
So his son was a Goonie!
No. You're my go-to guy. Without you, I'm out of business, Judge. Frightening, that's a young man's game, Frank. I ain't got no more hauntings left in me. What?
Hang on. So we did Judge
What you
voice.
talking about?
What are you talking about? You're in great shape.
My joints are getting powdery. The dog's running away with my face. Hell, I'm falling apart.
Well, you've been falling apart for years.
Frank circles some death notices in the paper.
Give it up, Frank. Death ain't no way to make a living.
Yeah, it's a good joke,
Good
isn't it?
joke.
Yeah, it comes up a few times, that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Judge, I gotta finish this house.
You ain't gonna finish this house. You're never gonna finish nothing.
Frank storms off.
Too many skeletons in the closet.
Skeletons, because another dead joke. Cut to a flash-looking mansion. Reminds me a little of the Banks residence in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Cyrus and Stuart are outside the mansion, preparing to go in and scare the family inside. We'll go in like professionals, like Charles Bronson. We don't stop until the screaming starts.
I'm with you. Let's go. That works.
After having a wee chat to the baby and the bouncer, Cyrus and Stuart start lifting the kids in the air, giving the impression that the kids are flying around the room. The housekeeper is horrified. The mother also comes in to see the flying babies. The babies crash land on the mother. Frank is called in and shortly arrives at the mansion.
Persistent residue of the departed. It's always a problem this time of year.
Same line as before.
Frank Bannister, I believe you called. And not a minute too soon. Oh boy.
Frank is looking around with his ghost camera thing when he notices that the mother has a newspaper that reads, Local con artist haunts cemetery.
I apologize for calling you, Mr. Bannister. Please leave.
Frank throws the newspaper, which transitions to Frank throwing a copy of the newspaper at Magda at her office.
What the hell are you trying to do to me?
Preying on the bereaved is about as low as you can go. You're a parasite, Mr. Bannister, and the people should be warned.
Yeah, well, I got a right to offer my services to the public.
In case you haven't noticed, we are in the midst of a major health crisis. The last thing the people of Fairwater need is some two-bit charlatan promising a pass on bogus messages from the other side. Now, if you would excuse me, Magna shows Frank the door.
I'm just trying to make a living.
Living? Not a word you'd know a lot about, is it, Mr. Bannister? Oh, there again, number two.
Another joke. I noticed that one yesterday when I rewatched the movie.
And it's like, Always dead jokes.
Yep.
Here goes a one for you, Tenson. Frank leaves out the Fairwater Gazette and gets run into by a biker guy who is wearing a t-shirt with the Grim Reaper on it. Who is the biker guy played by, Tenson?
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson. The biker guy is played by none other than Sir Peter Jackson himself. There you go. He's always puts himself in there.
He does. I think he's done a cameo in at least like all of his movies. He does one in each of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and Sam Raimi just like knocks out his actors with bags.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Reaper figure seems to alarm Frank, but the audience at this point doesn't know why. I don't think Frank knows why either, because obviously later on he finally remembers that the Reaper version of Johnny was what killed his wife.
Yes, yeah.
And that's what I think he must be triggering in his mind, but he can't remember why.
No.
But it gives him kind of a horrible feeling.
He knows something's up. Yeah.
Frank almost gets run over by a car. The car is a hearse that is carrying a coffin. Frank is walking away when he notices that Lucy is in one of the following funeral cars. Frank then sees Ray, as a ghost, running towards him.
Great Scott!
I had to put one in there.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Frank falls over when Ray runs into him. Two guys help Frank up, thinking he just fell over, as no one else but Frank can see Ray. Bannister!
Yeah?
Listen, you gotta help. They're gonna bury me, man. You gotta help. Frank and Ray go into the nearby alleyway. Bannister, what's happening to me?
Well, Ray, you appear to be dead.
Don't say that. That's impossible. I'm in the prime of my life. I work out every single day. My wife's a goddamn doctor.
Why didn't you take the corridor?
What corridor?
The corridor of life. The passageway to the other side.
Because I don't belong on the other side. Jesus Christ, I'm only 29. Mate, you're only 29? You look like you're at least 40, mate.
Yeah, definitely at least 40.
It's American 29, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Got that city mileage on him. Ray goes to lean on a wall and falls right through it for a moment.
Ray, just relax, alright? You want to tell me what happened?
I was on the rowing machine, and then suddenly I felt this vice-like grip to squeeze in my heart, and I couldn't breathe, Frank. I just couldn't breathe. Ooh. Oh, I've got the shakes now. I need some vitamin B.
Yeah, you can't take vitamins anymore. You don't eat, you don't drink, you don't go to the bathroom. All that crap's over with. In about a year's time, you're gonna get a chance to go over to the other side again to become what's known as a pure spirit. But in the meantime, you're what's known as an earthbound emanation, which is a rotting cloud of bioplasmic particles dripping ectoplasm.
That sounds delightful, doesn't it?
Oh, that's a lot of science words.
It is. Sciencey words. Oh, Doc, this is heavy.
And there's another Back to the Future reference.
There it is. Ray cries like a wussy little girl. All right, Bannister. Can you at least give me a ride so I don't miss my own funeral? Cut to Frank and Ray driving to Ray's funeral. As Ray and Frank are walking through the cemetery, you can see ghosts all around them. Reminds me of Michael Jackson's Thriller video. Michael Jackson? Peter Jackson? Maybe a connection.
Surely that was intentional.
Gotta be.
Don't worry about them. They ain't gonna hurt you.
Then, the gatekeeper of the cemetery, Sergeant Hiles, comes out to bring order to the ghosts. Hiles is played by legendary Ali Emery of Full Metal Jacket fame.
What in the hell is going on here? Get back in your graves!
Hiles then sees Frank.
Holy Jesus! Frank Bannister!
Frank tells Ray to go on. He will handle this. Hiles comes walking towards Frank and gets right in his face.
What in the hell are you doing in my graveyard? You have been told to stay away. Sound off like you got a pair.
He says that later on too.
Yeah, well, it's a public place, Hiles.
I do not like you. You cannot bring your spooks in here without my permission. Disappear, scumbag.
Hiles pushes Frank, showing you that ghosts can interact with the living in this world. Frank goes to punch Hiles, but Tenson, you might not know this, but Hiles is a ghost. So Frank goes right through him. I like how Hiles can change clothes to attack Frank. Changes from an army man to a riot officer to a boxer, then back to an army man.
I think that's pretty cool as well.
Very mask-like.
I think, yeah, it's definitely a lot better than the gatekeeper idea is having Ali Ermi come.
The big giant baby.
Yeah, definitely.
I am not one of your silly little emanations, Bannister. You cannot push spirits around. You are scum. Using spooks to put the frighteners on people. That makes me physically ill.
The
The Frighteners. There it is.
We got a lot of lowlives around here, and I will provide an armed response at the first sign of trouble. They must be contained.
Hiles transforms into an army soldier with double machine guns and starts firing his guns. Frank runs away.
Hey, my tour of duty runs another 85 years. There's a piece of dirt up here with your name on it, Bannister. I'm waiting for you, you little maggot.
But he'll never see him because he's ghosted. Frank goes to the funeral group. Ghost Ray is crying. Strangely though, he seems to be the only one who is crying. This shows that no one really liked Ray.
No, I see why.
But yeah, Lucy is crying a little, I guess.
I wonder if she's just putting that on, eh?
Maybe. Goodbye, Ray. Ray goes to comfort Lucy, but instead falls through her and into his own coffin. Lucy notices that Frank is at the funeral. As Ray is yelling at Frank to get him out of the hole, Frank is approached by Sheriff Walt Perry. Sheriff Walt asks Frank about how he had a little run-in with Ray the night before he died. Apart from Ray's wife, Frank was the last person to see him alive. Sheriff Walt says that the FBI is very concerned about these deaths.
They look like heart attacks, but when they slice these people open, their arteries are clean as a whistle. But there's been this tremendous pressure on the heart, like the life has been crushed right out of it. You got any theories, Frank?
I like how he's like sounds like the guy from Men in Black. Sugar and water. Love it. Frank avoids the question by saying he needs to pay his last respects to Ray. Sheriff Walt looks back to see Frank pulling an invisible person out of the grave and walking away talking to this invisible person. Lucy approaches Frank. Mr. Bannister, did you want to see me? Oh my God, Frank, she can see me. How does he get that? Like, she speaks directly to bloody Frank, and he's like, oh my God, she can see me.
No, she can't. Hate to break it to you, pal.
Well, not yet.
Yeah.
I thought perhaps you might have a message from Ray. Tell her. Tell her I'm here, Frank. Tell her. I mean, everyone says that you're a fraud, but I've seen what you can do. Frank says nothing to Ray's dismay. You must think I'm very stupid. Excuse me. Lucy starts to walk away.
Lucy, Ray says he loves you very much.
Cut to a stormy night. Lucy meets Frank in a restaurant for dinner. Is Ray with us?
Yeah?
You see Ghost Ray sitting next to Lucy.
Yeah. He says that you look great.
Oh, yeah? Lucy looks at some flowers that were on the table. Frank tells her that they were from Ray.
He says it's your anniversary.
A waiter comes over asking if they'd like some wine. Red. We always have red. White. I've never been fond of red. Lucy! Lucy, I'm home!
So good.
The night continues on. Lucy and Frank start talking about themselves to each other. So, you used to be an architect?
A long time ago.
Can it, Bannister? She doesn't want to hear your life story. Wow. So did you build your own house? I mean, you must have a dream home.
You could call it a dream home.
Tell me, why is it that you can see Ray and I can't?
I was in an accident. It was a car accident about 5 years ago. I don't know. They say that sometimes when you have a traumatic experience, that it can alter your perception.
Really? So after you could just see spirits? I mean, what happened? What happened?
What? No. How about you talk to Ray, huh? I mean, that's why I'm here.
Lucy then asked Ray about where he invested her money. The $16,000 that she had saved. The attorneys can't seem to find it anywhere. The money? Well, Ray blew it on that bad investment, of course. Frank tells Lucy that Ray blew the money on a bad investment. Ray is furious with Frank for telling her. Frank and Ray argue. Then Frank tells Lucy that he left, even though he hadn't. I can't believe it. It's just like Ray to take the money and run. Ray and I haven't been honest with each other in a long time, Mr. Bannister. It wasn't what you'd call a good marriage. Ray says some choice words that I will not repeat because Ray is a douche.
Yes, big time.
Frank puts his hand on Lucy's hand. Ray gets so enraged that he knocks over Frank's wine glass, spilling it over Frank. Ray runs off through a wall, while Frank goes to the bathroom to clean the wine off his pants. As Frank is cleaning off his pants with sometimes roll. I was meant to say toilet paper roll, but sometimes roll. When you spill stuff in your pants, sometimes roll. As Frank is cleaning off his pants with some toilet roll, a man walks into the bathroom. The man has the number 38 on his forehead, which causes Frank to stumble. Frank then sees the entity gliding through the wall. Frank looks like a crazy person looking under the stools while the man stands there peeing and concerned about Frank's behavior.
Imagine if you saw something like that in real life, you'd be like, what?
What's that guy doing?
What is happening?
Yeah, like, I'd better go. Frank opens up one of the stalls. Nothing. The man finishes peeing, then goes to the sinks to wash his hands. Frank opens up the other stall, and still nothing. The entity then comes out of the bathroom mirror right in front of the man washing his hands. The man, of course, cannot see the entity because the entity is a ghost. The Reaper-looking entity plunges its ghostly hand into the man's chest. Frank sees the ghost murder take place, then sees the Reaper go back into the mirror. The Reaper design in this is very similar to the design of the Nazgul and Lord of the Rings.
That's surely an inspiration. The Nazgul and Lord of the Rings.
Is it an inspiration when it's your own idea?
True. I mean, it's obviously...
I think it's an early draft.
Yeah, early draft, definitely.
Frank sees the dead man, then sees the heavenly corridor open up. I'll say heavenly a lot because they're heavenly creatures.
Yeah. Gotta have those Peter Jackson references.
You got to. Otherwise, I'll leave a bad taste in my mouth.
Exactly.
Effects of the corridor look pretty dated. I'm like, yeah, it seems to see the corridor like,
Yeah, not great.
Frank watches the man's spirit go into the sky.
I think this is where, like, the hall really feels like it's from the 90s. Like, it's not great, but yeah, it's a product of its time.
Frank runs out of the restaurant. He sees the Reaper on top of the restaurant. Didn't mention the design of the restaurant before. A very medieval looking.
Yeah, it's unusual. I mean, because I mean, the movie's set in America, would you expect some sort of restaurant, like medieval restaurant in America like that?
From the outside, it doesn't look like a fancy restaurant. It looks like kind of like a all-you-can-eat kind of place.
Yeah.
Or a bingo hall.
Yeah, it's different.
The Reaper flies away. Frank chases it. The doctor is talking to Sheriff Walt and one of his deputies. Looks like another heart attack. The deputy tells Walt that Frank Bannister came out of the bathroom about 5 minutes before the body was found. Waiter said that he was as white as a sheet and shaking. Lucy is escorted into one of the rooms at the station. Doctor tries to talk to her, as he is her boss. He comes back a couple times, that guy. He's also another former Shortland Street person.
There's a few of them in this movie.
I think he might have been Chris Warner's dad.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Walt says that she is a material witness. I'm about to say a material girl, but she's not living in a material world. Another deputy gets a call and tells Walt that Bannister was sent taking off from another restaurant at high speeds. Sorry, another restaurant, sorry. He's been to all these restaurants, taking off from the restaurant at high speeds.
Bring him in.
Cut to Frank speeding around the streets in his car. Cyrus Stewart and Judge are in the car with him. They see the Reaper and continue to chase it. The Reaper stops and the car goes right through it. A cool scene of the Reaper trying to grab Frank in the car. Love that bit.
Yeah, it's a cool scene.
Frank crashes his car. He sees the Reaper on the rooftops and glides away.
It was only a matter of time before he'd crash his car anyway, with his reckless driving.
So bad. You think he'd learn after a car accident. 2 car accidents now. We've seen one happen years ago and one happened when he went through a fence. Cut back to the police station. Walt and one of the deputies are questioning Lucy. She has told Walt that she met Frank at the restaurant to talk about her dead husband, who was also there, as a ghost. Walt makes fun of Lucy. Lucy sees an odd man just outside the room window. The man is very bizarre indeed. Has an abnormal social awkwardness to him.
You could say that.
And a Hitler haircut.
Yeah. Yeah, big time Hitler haircut.
Walt comes into the room after talking to the bizarre man.
Lucy, this is Special Agent Milton Dammers of the FBI.
I came by train. I was going to take the flight, but didn't feel good about the plane. At what point precisely did Bannister leave for the bathroom? Milton points at Lucy. You. I'm not sure precisely. Did he use excessive amounts of table salt during his meal? What? Answer the question. For Christ's sakes, it's really late. I can't remember that, okay? Milton looks like he's about to be sick. In fact, he runs off and pukes.
Excuse me, Lucy. I'll be right back.
Walt goes to see Milton.
Milton?
Sorry, Sheriff, I have a problem with women yelling.
Milton, can I get you anything?
Walt tries to comfort Milton by reaching out his hand. Sheriff Perry, you are violating my territorial bubble.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Walt goes back to talking to Lucy. Walt says how she is still grieving and how it would be so easy for Frank to take advantage of that. Milton continues to speak from the outside corridor.
Special Agent Dammers has over 20 years experience.
Sorry.
Special Agent Dammers has over 20 years experience in the area of paranormal psychology.
I need to get out of this voice. I really do.
Much of that was spent undercover with various cults and sects.
Sugar and water. I get all the fruity cases, Mrs. Linsky.
For God's sake, Milton, would you come inside and sit down?
I'm more comfortable standing, thank you. I really don't see what this has to do with Frank Bannister. Mrs. Linsky, you know nothing about Frank Bannister. You claim he's a bona fide psychic, yet all I've heard is a lot of ill-informed, meandering waffle. On the 3rd day of July 1990, Frank Bannister, then a successful architect, was overseeing the construction of his new home. Now the building contractor, Jacob Platz, would later confirm that Bannister had been consuming alcohol that morning. 12:23 p.m. Platz sees Bannister in a heated argument with his wife, Deborah. It appears that Bannister had promised Deborah a garden in the new home, and then, without consulting her, proceeded to lay a 4-inch thick concrete slab, creating a basketball court for himself. 12:31 p.m. Platz watches the couple drive away. Bannister kept a toolbox in the back of his car, and in it was a utility knife with a retractable blade. Bannister purchased 7 new blades that morning at Jesson's hardware store and building supply on the corner of 3rd and Garrett. 3rd of July, 7 blades, there, 3.
Milton, you're mumbling. We can't understand a word you're saying.
12:33 p.m. and their 84 Volvo heads into the hills. It is the last time anyone will see the couple alive. Now, by Bannister's own admission, the argument continues to rage, reaching a climatic point when Deborah demands that Bannister stop, pull over, let her out. In that moment, probably 12:36, 12:37 p.m., the car leaves the road on a sharp curve, presumably because Bannister was driving too fast. She was killed? Milton quirkily nods his head to signal yes. Her body was found 15 yards from the car. Now Bannister, he was picked up 2 hours later, wandering in the woods. He claimed to have no recollection of the events that occurred after the accident. Now here's the odd thing, Mrs. Linsky. His utility knife was missing, and to this day has not been found.
That's a significant point to remember about the knife.
Later on, yeah.
For later on in the movie.
Yeah.
You did quite well with that. A lot of lines from Milton.
I thought I'd just go frantically and fast.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like he does.
Yeah, he's a very eccentric and weird dude.
Yeah. But do you know what was really bizarre? Deborah's corpse had the number 13 carved into its forehead. Unlucky for some. Cut back to Frank, sitting in his car. While Cyrus and Stewart listen as Judge says that what they saw was the soul collector. He's been taking people out since time began.
When your number's up, that's it.
The group sees another corridor open up nearby.
There's another one gone.
Frank reverses out of the car park and drives off. Frank pulls up at the Fairwater Museum, the place the corridor portal opened up. Frank runs in to see a group of partygoers around Steve, the local news reporter's body. He has been killed. Ghost Steve looks at Frank. Frank sees that Steve has the number 39 on his forehead. Ghost Steve floats away up the portal. There's no money for you here, Mr. Bannister.
You're next.
There's a 40 on Magna's forehead. But again, of course, only Frank can see it. So it looks like to everyone else that Frank just threatened Magda. Are you threatening me?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
He's threatening to kill me.
Just relax, alright?
He is threatening to kill me. Two deputies walk into the room. One of the cops is Anthony Ray Parker. He was the driver for Suzanne Paul in the old TV New Zealand show, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
I did not know that.
He also played Dozer in the first Matrix film.
Oh, interesting.
The deputies point their guns at Frank. Frank sees the Reaper in the museum. It's going after Magda. Frank tries to help, but can't move due to the cops pointing guns at him. Judge comes walking in, shooting at the Reaper. The Reaper goes underground after being shot a few times. Judge then sees a mummy in an Egyptian standing coffin. The judge wants some of that mummy.
They don't call me the hanging judge for nothing.
The The judge knocks over the standing coffin, which alerts the deputies to the area. Judge is doing the nasty to the mummy. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
he pops out
It's so weird.
and he goes, I like it when they lay still like that. I'm like,
Oh, that's gross.
Frank uses the distraction to run away. The cops start shooting at Frank. Cyrus and Stewart make a mummy look like it has come to life to help distract them from shooting Frank. Cyrus and Stewart smuggle Frank away in a coffin. The Reaper returns and slices Judge in two with its massive scythe.
Judge!
I was very tempted here to put dark.
Yeah, and that would have fit as well.
Whatever, yeah. Judge is ghost dead. He's not dead, he's ghost dead.
Yeah.
Frank knocks out Magda and carries her out of the museum. The spinning of the cops in the roller doors is a bit too goofy for my liking. Like, they do that spin it and having had sound effects.
Yeah.
I didn't like that part. Frank puts Magda in his car and drives off while the Reaper pursues. Cyrus and Stewart disable the police cars so they can't pursue Frank. Frank drives while the Reaper grabs onto the roof of the car. Frank drives onto Holloway Road, the same road he had the car accident on 5 years ago. Magda wakes up in the car. Frank tells her to get down and stay down. That's not going to help your cause. Like, get down and stay down. The Reaper starts to swing his scythe through the car. Even manages to get right under Frank's chin. It's an interesting cut. When he's like driving, he's got the scythe under his chin. It's a cool shot.
Yeah. There's some cool shots in this movie.
There is. Frank comes up to the same bend he crashed on. He starts to have a flashback memory of that day. This feels very Heavenly Creatures to me. Like, every time it goes to flashback, it's very, 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 very bright lit. It just reminds me of Heavenly Creatures.
Like, especially at the end of Heavenly Creatures, where the flashbacks happen as the girls are leaving and then the murder scene. Yeah, definitely.
And also at the end of this movie, because it's like a 1960s.
Yeah.
Very similar era.
Yeah, for sure.
The car goes off the same bend as last time and smacks up against a tree. Magda crawls out of the car, trying to escape Frank. Frank tries to warn her, but just sounds like a crazy killer. Frank has another flashback of Deborah hitting the ground before coming back to the present day where he sees the Reaper grab Magda. Frank runs over to try and stop the Reaper, but it's too late. Magda is dead. As Frank tries to jump at the Reaper, he goes through it and ends up on top of Magda. When Magda's spirit leaves her body, she assumes that Frank killed her. Magda asks Frank, did it feel good killing her? If it felt good killing his wife. Murderer!
So goofy, eh? She's so annoying. That
was.
character. Ugh.
It was horrible. Magda's ghost floats away. Frank runs away into the woods, much like how Milton had said in the story before. So that, like, he did a very similar thing again. Cut to the police station. Frank's picture has been faxed through a fax machine. Remember those? Fax machines?
Ugh. Haven't heard of them for a while.
I think the first one I saw one was in Die Hard 2, Die Harder, where like, he's like, I need to use your fax machine.
Oh, yeah. Very 90s.
Sheriff Perry, I seriously doubt that we will see Mr. Bannister anytime soon. The man is resourceful beyond anything you could comprehend.
He really has a grudge against Frank, eh?
He does. He really wants to kill him. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he had something to do with it at first. Like maybe he's the reason why killings have been getting long as long as they did. Maybe the FBI have been covering it up.
Yeah, and they don't really explain his motives for hating Frank the way he does.
No, he's just really eccentric, and that's the reason he wants to kill people.
Yeah, it's strange.
As Milton is saying this, Frank appears in the room behind Milton.
Hello, Frank.
Hi, Walt. I've come to report that Magda Reese Jones's body is lying near my car off Holloway Road.
He sounds so excited about it. God, oh.
Good old Marty.
Hey, Doc, that was a body by my car. Great Scott, Marty.
Great Scott.
Do you know what this means? It's your kids, Marty. It's so good to see that Frank isn't doing anything to make himself look like a psychopathic killer.
Yep. He's really putting the frame on him, isn't he? He's not digging himself a hole.
He's framing himself.
Yeah, he's so bad.
Frank, did you have anything to do with her death?
Frank? Frank, are you okay? What happened? A deputy puts Frank in handcuffs. What are you doing? Are you arresting him? Please leave, Mrs. Linsky. Frank, you need a lawyer.
Go home, Lucy.
But you haven't done anything. He hasn't done anything.
How do you know? Do you know me? Am I a nice guy, Lucy? 'Cause that cozy little scene in the restaurant was a total BS. 'Cause I was doing my job. I mean, I don't give a damn about you. I don't give a damn about anybody.
What the hell are you saying?
Go home.
Oof, poor Frank.
Rejection.
Yeah, but he's doing it for her own good because he's realizing everyone around him's dying.
Yeah.
Poor Frank, telling Lucy to back off so that she doesn't get hurt by being associated with Frank. Lucy leaves the police station. Milton talks to Frank. We have a body count of 28. You're a very dangerous man, Mr. Bannister.
Oh, for Christ's sakes, you're not suggesting that Frank is responsible for...
You're way out of your depth here, Sheriff Perry. Please leave.
Frank Bannister is my prisoner.
By the power invested in me by the President of the United States, I am telling you to get the hell out of this room. Walt leaves the room. Milton puts his badge down in front of Frank and walks around to build the tension. Have you ever heard of Nina Kulingina? March 10th, 1970. Nina Kulingina, with the power of their mind, stopped the beat of a frog's heart. The record of this experiment is currently held in the files of Professor Gennady Sugiev of St. Petersburg. Milton goes on for a bit about this. But let's move on.
I don't kill people.
There's a part of you that believes that. But there's another part of you, Frank, that's out of control. Your destructive impulse.
I've seen a figure in a cape. I've seen him reach into people's chests and squeeze their hearts.
Who is it? Who was it?
Death. I can communicate with the other side. I can see spirits. I don't know why. I can't understand it.
You think you're quite unique, don't you, Mr. Bannister? But in my business, I deal with your type every other week. This death figure is nothing more than a homicidal alter ego that satisfies your compulsion to kill. You killed your wife.
No!
I have studied the coroner's report of every death in Fairwater since 1985. 28 cases involved crushed hearts, arteries, choked until they burst. That started in 1990 with your beautiful wife, Deborah. She was the first. Ray Linsky. You had an argument with him. 3 hours later, dead. Magra Rees-Jones. We know you didn't like her. But what about the guy in the toilet? What did he do to you, Frank? Piss on your hush puppies? Frank starts to shake. Why are you shaking? Oh, my. You're doing it right now, aren't you? You're trying to kill me right now. Well, forget it, Bannister. I'm wearing a lead breastplate. What?
Yeah, that was so weird.
How does a lead breastplate protect you from
a ghost.
from mind read?
Yeah.
From reading your mind?
Yeah.
It's like he read it in a magazine or something.
No.
We have 28 unexplained deaths here. You know what I think? I think you're involved in each and every one of them. Cut to daytime. Lucy drives up to Frank's unfinished house. Lucy has a look around. Ray is with her. The flesh on Ray's ghost face is starting to peel away, and he has dark marks around his eyes. His skin's starting to peel.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Because I thought they stuck around for years, so why is he starting to go so badly?
Decay, yeah.
Yeah.
Unexplained. Yeah.
Lucy has a look outside and sees that Frank has planted a garden where his basketball court used to be. Ray just keeps showing up how much of a dick he is in this scene. He's kind of like, oh, perfectly good waste of a basketball court.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you're a dick. You read the room.
Listen to you.
Frank's answering machine goes off. It's old lady Bradley. Her daughter Patricia is communicating with the evil one. She needs Frank's help to help her drive out the spirit. Cut to the old castle mansion at Fairwater Hospital grounds. Lucy goes up to the house. Lucy hides behind a bush while old lady Bradley comes out of the house. Old lady Bradley heads around the back of the property. Ray is still with Lucy. He is lost for words when he sees the house. Ray sees the evil that haunts and disfigures its essence. Ray tries to warn Lucy as she runs into the house. It's a cool scene, actually, a cool shot. You just see the evil of it. I think he sees the spirit of the house in there.
Definitely, because it shakes. Yeah.
Lucy goes around the house looking for Patricia. Lucy finds Patricia upstairs. Old lady Bradley comes back in the house. So Patricia hides Lucy in her room. It's your mother, isn't it? Your mother's the one who's been hurting you. She needs help. She's delusional, Patricia. You can't go on like this. You don't understand. Lucy sees an urn in the room. Lucy goes to grab the urn, but Patricia snatches it away. No! My father killed himself after the murders. Mother says it was my fault, so I have to keep his ashes in my room. Oh my God. Patricia puts the urn in the closet. She says I'm evil, just like Johnny. Patricia cries and hugs Lucy. She sells it really well. E.T.'s mum sells it really well.
I think that's why she was cast, was because of the innocent mother figure that she played in E.T. You wouldn't suspect her, at all. It's a genius casting from Peter Jackson.
And I didn't. Like, obviously I was 13 when I first saw it, but even if I watched it now, I wouldn't have suspected she was evil.
No, definitely.
You're like, oh, it's obviously the old lady, and she's probably working cahoots with the cop.
Yep.
Patricia then asks Lucy to come with her to Mother's room. Lucy looks at some old newspapers about the killings in Patricia's mother's room. This isn't you. This isn't who you are now. It was Johnny. He went crazy. I couldn't get away from him. I thought he was gonna kill me. Patricia, you have to get out of this house. You can start over. There is a banging outside the door.
Boom, boom.
Patricia has a peek through the doorway. It's Mother! Please, hide! Please! Lucy hides in old lady Bradley's closet. While Lucy is in the closet hiding, she finds a utility knife with the initials FB on it. FB, Tenson?
Frank Bannister.
As Lucy and I, you know, I was there too. I was just like not paying attention. I was sitting down the stairs.
Yeah.
As Lucy is sneaking down the stairs, the ashes in the urn upstairs start radiating light and fog. The entity in the walls starts to sneak behind Lucy. Ray comes in to try and protect Lucy. Lucy gets away, while Ray gets ghost killed by having his ghost face ripped off.
Thank God. Goodbye, Ray. You won't be missed.
Ray's ghostly remains drop on the bonnet of Lucy's car, but of course, she can't see them. Cut to Lucy pulling up to the police station at night. She is led into the cells to see Frank. Frank, listen to me. Listen to me now. I found your knife. It was hidden in an old lady Bradley's closet. She's crazy, Frank. You haven't hurt anybody. Frank turns away from Lucy on the cell bed. You're a good person, Frank. Don't do this. Please, don't do this. Jesus, do you think you're the only person who's ever lost somebody? You walk around like you don't have any feelings, but the truth is that you're just scared and a goddamn hypocrite. Why are you doing this? What are you afraid of, Frank?
I don't want to hurt you, Lucy.
Oh, that's crap. Don't give me that. Frank is a broken mess. Lucy wipes away his tear. Frank and Lucy hug. They just hug, okay?
Blossoming feelings going on there.
But they just hug, and then all of a sudden Cyrus and Stuart float into the room, and he's like, nah, I'll be outside. This stuff's like walking in your parents, like they're hugging.
Yeah. It's like, it's not like they're making out or anything.
They're not, you know.
Yeah.
Then I mean, they're not Peter and MJ when Harry walks in, you know.
No. Completely
They
different.
weren't holding hands.
No.
Stuart just stands and stares until Frank gives him the leave sign.
All right, yeah. I'll just be outside. I would just... Whoa.
Stuart is yanked through the door by Cyrus. Frank starts to settle down, but then a mortified look comes across his face. Lucy has the number 41 on her forehead. What is it, Frank? The Reaper comes through the cell.
Look out!
Frank yanks Lucy out of the way. Frank tries to fight the Reaper, but can't, because, Tenson, the Reaper is a ghost.
Yeah. A way to state that.
It's a gag that I did during Ghost of Alice.
Oh, yeah.
Every like 10 minutes, I'd say, because Alice, Sam, is a ghost. And she'd be like, no way, really?
No way.
I don't
What?
believe you. The Reaper stabs Lucy through the chest. Stuart and Cyrus come in and fight the Reaper. They push it out of the cell. What's happening? Cyrus and Stuart and the Reaper continue to pop in and out of the cell. What's happening?
Okay, listen to me.
Listen to me now.
It's in there a few times. Every time someone said, listen to me, I had to put it.
Call for the deputy and try to sound calm.
Deputy, I'm ready to leave now. The cell goes silent. Then Stuart appears.
Stuart, where'd he go?
I think we got him.
A scythe then goes straight into Stuart's head. Ghost killing them. Ghosts weirdly deflate in this, like a balloon.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is weird. The Reaper then turns Stuart into a ball of energy, collecting his soul. I didn't realize he could do that. He can collect souls. Is he pretending to be a Reaper?
Yeah, I guess Johnny Bartlett. Spoiler.
They never explain how he became a Reaper.
No.
Maybe there's going to be like a prequel one day.
I hope so. I mean, I think that was probably going to be what would happen if Lord of the Rings didn't happen for Peter Jackson, who'd just make sequels or prequels to The Frighteners.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd like to see one where you see the shooting in the hospital, but then you see what happens afterwards and how he comes back.
To become the Reaper, yeah.
Be cool. And I've put here, your soul is mine. A Mortal Kombat quote there. Just like Mortal Kombat. There you go, Keelan. Have a shot. Cyrus gets vengeance thirsty and attacks the Reaper. The deputy starts to open the door. Frank swing kicks the door into the deputy's face. Frank and Lucy are running through the station when they come across Milton. Milton pulls out his gun. Freeze, Bannister!
All right.
All right.
All right.
As Frank and Lucy stop, you can see the Reaper behind them. They are trapped from both sides. Cyrus attacks the Reaper while Lucy runs to the side of Milton. Please, help me. He's gone crazy. All right. Stay back. Now. Milton cocks the gun. Milton is about to shoot Frank when he gets all his hopes and dreams extinguished by Lucy with an extinguisher.
So good.
Frank, go! Get out! Cyrus starts to get torn apart by the Reaper. Another fallen ghost soldier. Frank and Lucy keep running until they come to a dead end. Dead end, get it? Because it's the Frighteners.
Oh, good one.
What was that in that cell, Frank? I felt something crushing my heart. It's called the All Blacks. Once they get defense sorted, your heart will be fine.
Had to be a sport reference in there, Greg.
I can't fight him, Luce. I can't protect you.
Loose?
Well, she is, because she's just lost her husband and she's already on to someone else.
Oh, yeah. Didn't take her very long to get over it, did she?
Did not. Frank checks the gun they took off Milton.
There's only one way to deal with this thing. I gotta have an out-of-body experience.
What?
And I gotta have it right now.
Frank points the gun to his head. No!
Go away, Luce. Just walk the other way.
Wait! Cut to Lucy giving Frank an injection. This will slower your heart rate and lower your body temperature. Lucy opens the door to a cool storage. Guessing this is at the clinic Lucy works at, or maybe the morgue? They don't say where they're at. Maybe that's the hospital. Maybe she just works at the hospital.
It's a hospital when the next scene, when they leave, it's the hospital, so maybe
So it
it's
must
where
be
she
the
worked.
morgue.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Frank walks into the cool storage. You'll have 20 minutes max. Any longer than that, and there's a danger of tissue damage. That's only if I can successfully revive you. There's no guarantee. The guy was about to shoot himself, Lucy. I think he understands the risks.
Yeah.
Frank, you don't have to do this.
Lucy, better close the door, huh? Hurry up.
Yeah, Marty hasn't got time to waste.
Oh, good one.
It won't take long. Lucy sets the cool storage to max. Lucy and Frank do the Titanic hand-like gesture through the small circular window.
Oh,
There you go.
that's true. Yeah.
If I was in that freezer, Tenson, I would probably feel right at home because I like it cold.
Allow me to break the ice.
Winter has come at last. Lucy prepares to revive Frank while Frank starts to fade. Lucy is looking through the circular window. When she moves away, you can see Milton is standing behind her. That's a great shot.
Oh, yeah, the jump scare as well when he shows up scared me.
I love that shot. You see her through the window and she turns away and he's just there.
Yeah. Oh, horrible.
It's a great shot. This director might make it after all. Milton peers into the freezer and sees Frank inside. I'm reviving him at 9 o'clock. Why would we want to do that? Why do you think Milton really wants to kill Frank, Tenson? Does he really truly believe that Frank killed all those people?
I don't know. It kind of bothers me that his motives aren't really made clear, like to why he hates Frank so much.
Yeah, it's like they've made him eccentric and that's all you got to go with. Like, it's kind of like, he's eccentric, just go with it.
Does
Like,
he just like killing Ghostbusters?
is he like a Joker kind of character where he just does it because he feels like
Feels,
he
yeah.
should?
That aspect of the movie does bother me.
Lucy raises some type of surgical tool at Milton. Milton pulls out an Uzi. Frank eventually has an out-of-body experience. He sees the corridor, but ignores it. Frank has trouble staying in one spot as he falls through the walls and floors. Milton handcuffs Lucy and puts her in the back of a police car. Then Milton starts to pull something out of his jacket. Is it a gun? A knife? No, it's one of those squishy plastic donuts to sit in. This gag reminds me of Indiana Jones' Raiders of the Lost Ark, when one of the bad guys pulls out a nunchuck-looking weapon, which turns out to be a coat hanger for his coat. Like, pulls it out like it's a weapon,
Yeah.
and then it's folded around and it's a coat hanger. So good, I love it.
Classic indie.
Classic indie. Lucy starts screaming, which sets Milton into a tizzy. Milton switches on the radio, then drives away from what looks to be the hospital. I guess we said hospital before, so. Frank comes out of the wall of the place the car just left from. Frank follows the police car, then sees that the Reaper is also after the car. Frank charges at the Reaper, knocking it off the police car. Frank then gets run over by a car while lying on the road. Pretty cool run over effect.
Yeah, definitely.
The tire marks are on him, so it's cool.
Cool effects again.
Frighteningly good.
Oh, come on.
Frank, come on now. Frank then faces the Reaper on the street before getting hit by another car that takes out his legs. Like completely, they disappear for a moment.
I wonder if he's got any bones, or are they lovely bones?
Oh, there we go. Wow.
Sorry.
Cut to the police car pulling into the cemetery. I find cemeteries very restful places, don't you? Turn this car around and take me back. I intend to, Mrs. Linsky. In exactly 11 hours' time. Son of a bitch! Milton gets out of the car to avoid Lucy yelling at him. The clock ticks over to 8:51. 8:51? You know what this means, Doc? I'm late for school! Milton starts to unbutton his shirt. Lucy notices a screw in the handle she is handcuffed to. Milton opens his shirt and turns towards the police car. His body has satanic marks, scars, and has had his nipples violently removed. It's a tragic sight.
Say that again. Yeah, it's horrible.
Ugh. My body is a roadmap of pain. Lucy starts to use a coin to loosen the screw. But pain has its reward. Something is flying towards the cemetery. This first-person gliding shot reminds me of The Lost Boys. Have you seen The Lost Boys, Tenson?
I haven't, no.
There's a lot of first-person shots in that. There's also a guy that's like shirtless and greased up who's playing a saxophone for no reason on the beach. Like, you'll see in the memes a lot.
Yeah.
Milton starts to make babbling and panting noises. He's like...
Just creepy.
The car starts up, but no one is in the driver's seat. Or is there?
Dun dun dun.
Frank? Frank? Is that you? Mom? Mom? Is that you? As from Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah.
I had the most horrible nightmare.
The first-person gliding shot continues into the cemetery. Milton thinks that he is controlling the car with his mind. Frank finally appears. It is him in the driver's seat. There you go. So we get confirmation it's not Milton using his mind.
No.
But he hasn't got the armor on anymore, the breastplate.
No, did he just take it off randomly?
Maybe. So
Must
now
have done.
people can read his mind, obviously, because he's not wearing a breastplate. As the car is slowly reversing, Frank is yanked out of the driver's seat by Sergeant Hiles.
Get back in the goddamn ground. You want to organize grabastic gob of teleplasmic trash.
Sounds like Jay Jonah.
Before it sounded like Till's like, I'm going with it.
Yeah.
Frank goes into a coffin. He sees a body being eaten by worms. Yum. The car crashes into a wall and stops. Caskets start falling out, exposing the skeletons inside. Milton is knocked out by a falling skeleton.
Who in the hell are you? Sound out like you got a pair.
Hines goes into Army Soldier with double machine guns mode, but gets sliced in two by the Reaper. He just like splits him.
Yeah.
It's the end of him because he's been ghost killed. Lucy gets free from the handle in the car. 8:57. Not much time left to save Frank. The Reaper goes to the car and attacks Lucy.
Hey, asswipe.
Frank shows up behind his double machine guns and starts firing at the Reaper. Frank continues his assault on the Reaper while Lucy climbs away. Lucy then gets grabbed by Milton. Lucy grabs one of the skulls off a skeleton and clocks Milton with it. Talk about a skull-crushing finale. There's one for all you WWE fans out there.
Oh.
There we go. Lucy gets in the car while Milton tries to open the driver's door, while Frank shoots the Reaper from the roof of the police car. Like, that car's getting a lot of action in that scene.
It has.
Frank hops off the car and continues shooting the Reaper, while Lucy drives off. Milton chases after the car. As Frank shoots the Reaper, gooey bits of it start to fly off. One of the bits of goop is a horrifying face. Kind of reminds me of the Book of the Dead from Evil Dead, the look of the face.
Yeah, very similar.
The Reaper falls down like a wet bedsheet. When it goes down, it's like...
Yeah.
like, oh. The goop face growls at Frank. Frank picks up the goop face.
Who are you?
Frank starts slamming the face on a gravestone like he's beaten an old washcloth.
Yeah.
It's like, whack, whack. It's like, oh, dude.
So weird.
He then throws the face onto a tombstone, revealing a face. This bit, Tenson, gave me nightmares as a kid.
I can see why.
And I think it's one of the best shots of the film.
Yeah, definitely.
The face slowly oozing down the tombstone while it talks to Frank.
Johnny Bartlett? I thought guys like you fried in hell.
I got out, Frank. I've been carrying on the good work. Got me a score of 40. Ghosts start appearing all around Frank. All of Johnny's victims.
Harry Sinclair, I just want to shake the hand of the man who finally avenged my death.
You've got a number?
12. He's actually got 12 in his head. Oof.
Bartlett carved it into my forehead as I lay dying. I was the last.
I'm just thinking Foghorn Leghorn. God, incarnations, I've been cut. I've been down. Someone go get me a doctor.
Oh no.
I've gone and done it. He couldn't be more wrong, could he, Frank? Johnny laughs as his face disappears underneath the grave. Johnny is reforming like a T-1000 in Terminator 2.
Yeah, that's a good reference, actually. Yeah.
Those reforming effects, definitely 90s. Very 90s, especially when he's in the ground crawling. Like, ugh. Not good. Frank charges Johnny and starts beating on him. Frank grabs the scythe. Johnny transforms into normal ghost-looking Johnny. Johnny begs for Frank not to ghost kill him. Frank goes to hit Johnny with the scythe, but is blocked by something. Frank tries again, but is blocked again. Only this time, he's also sucked away. Frank wakes up in the freezer. Lucy has successfully revived him. Lucy's boss comes over with a blanket. They start to get shots ready to help Frank.
I didn't get him.
Who didn't you get, Frank?
Johnny Bartlett. He's back.
He's hallucinating. It'll pass.
Yeah, it'll pass.
Lucy, he's killing again.
Patricia!
Lucy, you gotta get her out of the house. Go.
Cut to Lucy driving to the castle mansion to get Patricia. Lucy finds Patricia in the living room, just standing there in the dark. Listen to me! Listen to me now!
There it is.
So many times I say it, I had to say it every time. We have to get out of here.
Patricia never leaves the house.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Bradley, but she's coming with me.
You have no right. She's my daughter. Get upstairs.
No, look, this is gonna stop now.
What are you talking about?
Why do you have Frank Bannister's knife in your closet?
You've been in my room?
It's like, that's the only thing she's got an objection to it. You've been in my room. It's like, you've got a knife in there that killed someone.
Yeah.
Patricia chases after her mother as she runs upstairs. Lucy looks at the picture of young Patricia while she waits. Patricia comes back downstairs. Mother wants to go to the police now. Lucy walks towards the stairs. No, she'll be down in a few minutes. No, Patricia, we have to go now. It's just not safe here. Johnny Bartlett's back. I know. He visits me at night. I don't know why he comes. He torments me. Why does he come? This bit is brilliant. Everything Patricia is saying here can be backed up by what the audience has seen. That opening sequence really makes you believe you're here.
Definitely, yeah. Great acting as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Both of you.
I'll take it. Yeah. Am I being punished? As Lucy continues to urge Patricia to go, Johnny shows up behind Lucy. The sudden burst of sound jump scares the crap out of me
Yeah,
here.
I know. There's a few great jump scares in this movie, actually.
That one's the one that got me the most. I want to kill her now, Patty. That'll give us 41. That's 8 clear of Gacy. Another 9 and we'll have broken Bundy's record. I can't wait to see old Ted's face when he hears the news. Wait, haven't they already got 41? The audience doesn't know yet, but Patricia has murdered her mother upstairs. Since Johnny and Patricia are only communicating between themselves, do you think Johnny might bring that up?
Yeah,
It's like, they didn't carve it into her head, maybe that's why.
No. Does it just not count in terms of their murder spree?
No, which is something I actually haven't brought up yet. It seems simple, but it's just, I love the fact that they carve the numbers into the heads.
Yeah,
It's such a cool way of doing
it
it.
is.
Like if you're going to murder.
It's a cool, yeah. it's a cool concept, yeah.
It's a cool signature thing, like, yeah. And it also is really cool when the ghosts have the ghost one,
Yeah.
no one can see it. It's very clever. Yes. What? I'm sorry. We really should wait for Mother. I like she just says that. She's like, we really
Yeah.
should wait for Mother. I was like, oh, damn. That asswipe psychic nearly ruined it for us tonight, Patty. He made us look stupid. You're going to be all right, Patricia. Everything is going to be all right. Ah, shut up. That Russian cannibal creepy running around saying he did 50 plus. That reflects badly on us, Patty. This record should be held by an American. Vote Donald Trump, 2024. I quite agree. Patricia holds out her hand towards Johnny. You can come. Lucy looks at Patricia holding out her hand to something or someone. Stay with me if you like. I want to kill her now, baby. I'd like that. I'll just go get my coat. Patricia and Johnny go to the kitchen. Johnny goes to the knife selection. You kill her. I'll watch. Lucy goes upstairs to check on old Lady Bradley. Lucy opens up the bedroom door to find that old Lady Bradley has been stabbed to death.
Horrifying scene, that one.
Your eyes wide open.
Ugh.
Patricia comes at Lucy from behind with a knife. Lucy gets in a couple of nice shots when Patricia gets the knife stuck in the door. Lucy manages to get out of the room and lock the door. Patricia starts to shotgun blast through the door. Patricia has leveled up her weapon. She's got her shotgun now.
Playing a video game.
Yeah, it's a video game. As Lucy runs down the hall, Johnny becomes floor man once again and starts choking Lucy. He is floor man. Frank runs into the house and sees Lucy being attacked by floor Johnny. Frank pulls the rug right from under Johnny, literally, and throws him down the stairs. Frank quickly realizes that Patricia is evil too. Probably the fact that she is shooting at them.
Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious.
I like how Lucy's like, nope, not that way.
Yeah.
The painting of the wall Johnny is pretty cool. Even if the effect is very 90s, I like how he comes off the wall and just starts choking them.
Yeah.
It's really cool. When Lucy smashes the Johnny painting, they see that Johnny returns to the urn in the room.
Jesus, Lucy.
A gunshot comes through the door.
Oh my God, these are Johnny Bartlett's ashes.
What?
We gotta get these to the other side.
What?
A church. We gotta get him to a church.
There's a chapel in the old hospital.
All right.
All right.
Alright.
Frank and Lucy escape out the window. Cut to Frank and Lucy sneaking into the old hospital. That old hospital looks like something very familiar. Is it from Heavenly Creatures or something?
Yeah.
I've seen that. I was like, it rings a bell for some reason.
It could be. Now you've brought that up, it looks familiar.
Yeah, as I saw that, I was like, it rings like I've seen that before. Obviously, I've seen the Frighteners before, but I was like,
Yeah.
I've seen it somewhere else.
The same location, yeah. It kind of reminds me of like Seacliff or something. Yeah. Straight out of mental asylum.
Cut to Frank and Lucy sneaking into the old hospital. Frank and Lucy split up so they can find the chapel faster. See, in this situation, when people split up in horror movies, I'm always like, why are you splitting up? But in this situation, I'm like, it makes sense.
Actually, yeah.
Because they have to do it quickly.
Yeah.
Frank starts to see flashbacks to the hospital as he walks around. Nurses and doctors walking around. Again, this bit reminds me of Heavenly Creatures. Frank gets locked into the past so that he can't see the present day. Frank walks right past Lucy, unable to see her. Frank? Frank hears directions to the chapel through a conversation being had nearby. The doctor starts talking to an orderly.
Orderly? I said, orderly, are you deaf?
Are you deaf line? Possibly a play on the fact that Johnny portrays a version of death later on? Death?
I think you're onto something there, Greg.
Or as Dan might say, I'm overthinking it.
Yeah. Hey, moron.
Johnny removes a sheet off the cart to reveal a rifle. I guess that makes you number one.
The classic line.
Yeah, and it's the way he grins.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
I know at the time Batman 89 wasn't that old, but I don't know. I think he could have made a pretty good Joker.
No, I could see it, yeah.
Jake Busey, Gary Busey's son. Frank dives in front of the doctor, but of course can't save him because, Tenson, that doctor is a flashback.
It is.
You thought I was going to say ghost, but I didn't.
I was waiting for a ghost. I was like, no.
Yeah, no.
It's a flashback sequence.
I got you that time. Frank hitting the wall knocks him back to the present day. Frank, are you okay?
Are you okay, Annie?
Ow!
The chapel's on the 4th floor.
Frank hands the urn to Lucy. Meanwhile, Milton shows up at the hospital. How on earth did he know they were there?
Yeah, it makes no sense. Does he have some sort of psychic power so he knows where Frank is?
Maybe. Read his mind.
Doesn't make much sense.
Maybe his breastplate led him there.
Yeah, but no, he wasn't wearing it in the last scene, remember?
Maybe he found it again.
Yeah.
Frank has more flashbacks as they run along the hospital. You can see the numbers carved into the victims' foreheads. Young Patricia is gleefully walking down the halls with a knife in hand. Shot transitions from young Patricia to a current day Patricia running around the corner with a shotgun. It's a cool shot like that.
Yeah. She's quite scary, actually, with the gun.
She does a very good menacing, and she does that really crazy laugh really well.
Yeah, definitely not what you expect.
Frank and Lucy run while Patricia pursues. How many shells does she have in that gun?
Yeah, I know. It's like she fires it so much.
She must have like 15, 20 shots on that thing.
It's a shotgun as well, so they can't hold much in the chamber.
The most I think they can hold is 8?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going
She
on.
must have a lot of bullets in her pocket or something.
Deleted scenes, just her reloading everything.
Yeah.
Frank runs into another Johnny flashback killing scene. Then Frank hides as Patricia stalks by with a shotgun in hand and a crazy laugh. Lucy gets grabbed from behind by Milton. Frank calls out for her, but Milton is covering her mouth. It's like just around the corner, like, so close.
Yeah.
Frank continues to look for Lucy, but has to hide under a bed from Patricia. Lucy manages to fight away from Milton and runs away, blocking Milton's path as she goes. Lucy then takes an elevator up. Must have been an uplifting experience.
Ooh. Good one.
I don't know what to think, says Tenson. As Patricia is nearby, another flashback happens, clearly showing that Patricia killed some of the patients. Then Johnny and young Patricia holding each other in pure joy. Patricia is about to look under the bed that Frank is hiding under when she hears the elevator. Patricia charges out of the room. Flashback time. Harry the ghost from the graveyard is trying to talk Johnny down.
Put the gun down, son. The law is on its way.
What's the score, Paddy? 11? That's the same as Starkweather's. Johnny guns down Harry. Harry is astonished. No. Frank snaps back to reality. Frank then runs up to the entrance to the chapel. As Frank is walking, he knocks a hole in the floor from a rotting floorboard. More on that later. It's a setup. It's called a setup, Tenson.
It is foreshadowing.
It is. Frank finds Lucy in the elevator. She is trapped as the elevator didn't go fully up. Lucy gives Frank the urn.
Right. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Classic trapped in an elevator humor.
Yeah.
Frank tries to break down the chapel door with a big wooden cross. He creates a small opening in the door. Inside the chapel is an incredibly bright light. A heavenly portal can be seen inside. Frank knocks a statue. When he catches it, it leads to the urn being catapulted away. Milton catches the urn.
Give that to me.
Let me guess. You have to get these ashes to consecrated ground in order to destroy the forces of evil?
Give me the goddamn urn, dammers.
Under no circumstances are these ashes ever to be released. Milton tips the ashes out, releasing Johnny's spirit. Oops.
You have no idea what you have just done.
You don't get it, do you, Frank? This is all about your pathetic need for self-glorification.
You are such an asswipe.
Yes, I am an asswipe. With an Uzi. Asswipe with an Uzi.
Such a nutter.
Milton shoots Frank, but only manages to get Frank's arm. Terrible shot. He's like right in front of him with an Uzi, and then he gets him slightly in the arm.
He's obviously not an FBI agent. They surely would know how to fire a gun.
Frank stumbles away from Milton, who is pointing his Uzi at Frank. I don't want to shoot you in the back. Turn around. Frank gets to that hole he created in the floor before, saying, oh, it's come back. He then sees Patricia in front of him, pointing her gun at him. Frank turns to Milton, then puts his foot through the hole, which causes him to fall backwards. Patricia's shot misses Frank and hits Milton in the head, blown it clean off. I love the ghost head replacement.
Yeah, straight away.
Just a ghost head.
Yeah.
Frank falls through the floor and crashes through about 4 levels. Then I think he lands on a bed or something.
Yeah, I was going to say that's got to hurt, but then I remembered he falls on the bed.
But here, don't care that he landed on a bed. That man would be very dead.
Yeah, oh,
4
definitely.
floors. He's not Superman.
No. Or Batman.
Patricia starts shooting at Lucy in the elevator. Lucy manages to get the elevator to go down. See, I didn't mention Batman in this whole thing, and I was like, damn it, how am I going to mention Batman?
I
But
did
you
it for you.
You did it for me. Lucy finds Frank lying on the ground. Patricia blindsides Lucy with a gun butt to the head. Frank flashes back to the day of his wife's death. He remembers seeing Reaper Johnny killing her.
Deborah,
Frank then remembers seeing Patricia there. She grabs Frank's knife from the ground.
you killed her.
You're next, pal. Take him out, baby. Patricia goes to shoot Frank point blank in the face. But the gun finally runs out of bullets. Yeah, it finally ran out. Patricia beats Frank with the gun while Johnny stops Lucy. Patricia starts to choke Frank with the gun. Frank's lifeless body is then thrown to the ground by Patricia. Patricia and Johnny then select a weapon to kill Lucy with. They have selected pickaxe. I'm in the mood for a little vivisection. I can't get no vivisection. Patricia goes to hit Lucy with the pickaxe when Ghost Frank grabs Patricia. Frank rips Patricia's spirit out of her body, and then he starts going up the corridor. How does he rip her out of her body? He just like a...
Yeah.
That's weird. Doesn't kill her, he just grabs her. Johnny chases them as they race faster and faster up the corridor. Johnny eventually wrestles Patricia free from Frank's grasp. Frank lands up in heaven and can see Johnny and Patricia still in the portal. See you later, Frank. We got you.
We got you for 5 minutes.
5 minutes of playtime. We're going back down to get us some more. Yo, Frank.
This is so 90s. This, like, lights in the background. Oh,
It's like
terrible.
Morgan Freeman and Bruce Almighty.
Yeah. That's so true. Oh, God.
Frank is approached by Sirius
Sirius
Black. Frank is approached by Cyrus and Stuart, now dressed in heavenly clothes.
Is he a heavenly creature?
Heavenly clothes, there we go. Yeah, I told you I'm going to keep doing it. Bye, Frank. Sirius again. Frank, Cyrus, and Stuart look on as the portal around Johnny and Patricia begins to change. It goes from being a blue light portal to what looks like to be the mouth of a hellish creature.
Step back, Frank. This ain't gonna be pleasant.
Little snake-like creatures with sharp teeth start to attach to Johnny and Patricia,
Oh, the sequence does not look good.
even going through their mouths and eye sockets. The eye socket one was like weird.
Yeah. I didn't like this sequence at all. No, it's
Didn't
pretty
look very
awful.
good. Like kind of made for TV kind of effects.
Definitely.
The portal then closes to reveal that it is a giant hellish creature that goes back down to the fires of hell itself. Frank then sees his wife. She tells him that it's time to go. It's not his time yet. Frank wakes up in Lucy's arms. Cut to a digger knocking down Frank's half-finished house. Lucy and Frank watch while drinking champagne at a picnic nearby. There's something I have to tell you.
Yeah?
Frank then kisses Lucy. Sheriff Walt then pulls up.
Sorry to interrupt you, folks.
That's alright, Walt.
Frank, what do you know about Ouija boards? Not a lot. I found a whole stack of them up in the old Bradley house. Looks like Patricia got herself a direct line to her dead boyfriend as soon as she was released 5 years ago. I thought you and I could collaborate on a book about all this. It could be my ticket off the force.
That's not really my area. You know, if you're looking for a collaborator, how about your guardian angel over there?
Walt turns to look at his car.
You got me, Frank.
I got you, Walt.
Walt gets back in his car.
I'll see you, Frank. Bye-bye.
As Walt drives along, the camera shows the back seat of the car, where it's revealed that Ghost Milton is sitting in the back. Boy, that Dammers, he sure looks pissed.
Yeah.
Frank then has a shock of realization on his face. Lucy can now see ghosts. Well, sometimes, Frank, when you go through a traumatic experience, it kind of alters your perception. Lucy uses the picnic basket to pretend to be a reaper, while the cover of the song Don't Fear the Reaper plays.
Yeah. That's a great song to end the movie.
It was a good way. So when I heard it, I was like, I actually forgot that Don't Fear the Reaper was the song at the end.
Yeah. I didn't actually know the lyrics. I didn't know it was Don't Fear the Reaper, and I'm like, oh, that fits perfectly.
Right, so end of movie. We have gotten through the film here, Tenson.
We certainly have.
So now we've gone through the film, The Frighteners. Let's go to our ratings.
Nobody does it, Bennett. Maha!
Right, so we've now done our ratings, Tenson, for The Frighteners. Let's go through our ratings, shall we? For story, what have you given it?
So for the story, I've given it 3.5 out of 5. I think it's quite an interesting wee story. I wouldn't really say it's unique, but it works well and is compelling, and it's well paced throughout, and yeah, it keeps you on the edge of your seat.
That's fair enough. I've given it 4 out of 5. I think the story's actually pretty good in a way that makes you think one way and it completely changes at the end.
Yeah, definitely. I like the twists.
And the twist and the mystery to it, because you don't, even though they introduced Bartlett earlier, you don't really think of the Reaper as Bartlett.
No, that's why it's quite shocking when you find out it's him.
So I think the story does a really good job of investing you in Frank at first, but then slowly kind of bring out the mystery. And once that mystery starts, I'm like, oh, I'm hooked.
Definitely.
Yeah, so 4 for me. So for acting, Tenson, I have given it 3 out of 5. I think there's some really good performances. Yeah. But there's also some really horrible New Zealand performances.
Yeah, for sure. Those Shortland Street actors.
Shortland Street actors are pulling the chain down.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me though, does it?
No. I mean, like, obviously, like, we talked about Milton. That was great.
Yeah, he's great.
Mulcahy Fox is always good. There's a lot of, even like Cyrus and Stewart and stuff, they're fine.
Yeah, they're great.
John Aston as Judge is great. But then, yeah, just so many New Zealand actors that are just...
Drag it down, yeah. I think, and you mentioned the Jake Busey, the Johnny character, he's great too.
Yes, and Patricia as well.
Yeah, Patricia is for sure.
But yeah, New Zealand have let them down.
Yeah. Well, for me, I've given it 3.5 out of 5. Basically for similar reasons to you. I think there's some really great actors in here, like you mentioned, the Johnny actor and Michael J. Fox and the Dammers, the FBI. He's played really well. He's in a TV show that I think Peter Jackson liked when he was a kid and thought he'd be perfect for the role. So definitely the New Zealand actors has dropped the ball big time.
You've got it done now, haven't you, Bannister?
I just blamed the actor who played Magda. Oh, she was terrible.
Yeah, she was so bad. How well it holds up, Tenson? What have you given it?
Another 3.5. I think, yeah, the 3.5 is for like the effects in the house. I think are really well done. Even today, they still look really good. A lot of the Grim Reaper looks dated. I think we talked about in the podcast the corridor definitely look very 90s. But also the hell sequence with Johnny and Patricia getting sucked into hell, that didn't look great at all, in my opinion.
No, that's fair. For me, I've given it 3 out of 5. I think it's more good than bad. Like the ghost walls and stuff like that, where then the walls and the floors looks cool. It looks a little dated, but it's still cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I also really liked the ghosts themselves.
Yeah. I forgot to mention the ghosts too, for sure.
There's a cool effect that saves the effects department, really, because I know it's 90, so it's very hard to kind of rate it on today, especially in the budget they would have had. But I guess the question is how well it's held up, and I think a lot of the visuals don't. So that's why I gave it 3 out of 5.
No, definitely.
For music, Tenson, I have given it 4 out of 5. Danny Elfman is very good in this. It's still another. It's like, yeah, it's very Danny Elfman, but that's why I love it.
It's definitely his forte, this kind of movie, and he's good at writing themes for these kind of films.
The organ kind of theme at the start is very cool.
Yeah, I think very Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands.
Not one point in the movie where I thought the music kind of like took over. It's beautifully just kind of incorporated what was happening in the scene.
I gave it 4 as well, yeah. I think even when the movie gets intense, like the music really represents the intensity of the action, which I quite like too.
Fair enough. For visuals, how good it looks. What have you given it?
For me, I've given it a 4. I think there's some really interesting shots in this movie. I love the way that Peter Jackson frames Dammers, like always in close-up. There's only maybe like 1 or 2 shots where he's not in close-up, but it really makes the audience quite uncomfortable. And I think, it looks really good. The visuals, like, I think with the house and like the spooky house, I think is really well shot, and the mood and everything with the rain at the start puts you straight in the movie. So yeah, I would give it a 4.
That's fair enough. I have also given it a 4 out of 5. I think there's a lot of great shots in this movie. It's Peter Jackson, so he's very, very good at this craft. Like the shot when, like we talked about with Milton, where he's directly behind Lucy was great. The first person shots where it's gliding through like Lost Boys style was great. The shot with when Milton gets shot at the end with the ghost
yeah,
head
straight away
was great. The opening sequence is masterfully done. Like you say, it's a very, very good opening sequence. Some films kind of slowly build you into it, but that one made me excited from the start.
Definitely. Puts you right in the story.
Absolutely. So I gave it 4 out of 5 as well. So let's go through our ratings, shall we? So for story, Tenson, I give it 4 and you give it 3.5. For acting, I give it 3 and you give it 3.5. For how well it holds up, I give it 3 and you give it 3.5. For music, I give it 4 and you give it 4. And for visuals, how good it looks, I give it 4 and you give it 4. Gives us a grand total for me of 18 out of a possible 25 stars. And you, Tenson, 18.5 out of a possible 25 stars. So that gives us a grand total, Tenson, of 36.5 stars out of 50. Which is not bad.
Where does it rank?
The MRU, or the Movie Review Universe charts that we've got here so far, 36.5 stars puts it at number 15 on the charts. Yep, 15th place. Below Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990, which was 37 stars, but it's above The Phantom that was 34.5 stars, so 15th. I think it's a good place for it because we'll look at the top 10, shall we? In first place is Jurassic Park with 50 stars.
A good top movie.
It won't be beaten, of course. It'll only be matched. Number 2 was Spider-Man 2, from 2004 we did recently with 49 stars.
49, yep.
Third place is Jumanji from 1995 with 47.5 stars. Batman Mask of the Phantasm from 1993 is 46.5 stars. That's fourth. In fifth equal, we got Batman 1989 and Big 1988 with 44.5 stars. In seventh place, we have Spider-Man from 2002, and that's 43.5 stars. And in eighth equal, the three-way tie for eighth, we have Boogie Nights from 1997, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone from 2001, and Batman Returns from 1992 on 42.5 stars. And then after that, 11th is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So
I'm surprised Batman 89 is above Batman Returns.
yeah, 89 is probably the one people might like the most. I actually rated Batman Returns like near perfect. I think it might even be perfect score. It was Jeff that didn't like Batman Returns as much.
That was why I was surprised, because I know it's like one of your favorite movies.
Because Jeff had a fair point though, because a lot of it is mistreatment of women.
Yeah, true.
So he didn't like it for that tone. But my argument was that unlike the first film where Tim Burton had like Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne shoved down Vicky Vale and say, shut up and listen to me for a second. I was like, ugh. In the second movie, he made a point of how mistreated Selena was.
That's true, yeah.
And the bad guys were all the ones that were mistreating her. Batman didn't.
No, Batman loves her.
Yeah, so 36.5 stars, 15th spot on the table, Tenson. That's not too bad for Frighteners. Never going to be a movie, I believe, that is an award winner.
No, definitely not an amazing movie, but I think it's a fun, enjoyable experience.
It's a really good run, and it's a one to watch again and again, I think, as well.
For sure. It's a good, like, prelude to Peter Jackson's, like, later films with Lord of the Rings and King Kong and all of that.
How he got to where he was.
Definitely.
Yeah. If you like what you hear or have any suggestions for us or thoughts, who knows, it might be about The Frighteners. Well, you can contact us by going to Nobody Does It Bennett on Facebook or by hitting us up on the Twitter at NobodyDIBennett. You can also email us at nobodydoesitbennett@outlook.com or by going to our website, nobodydoesitbennett.buzzsprout.com. Remember, that's a Bennett with 2 N's and 2 T's. Nobody Does It Bennett is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and other podcast outlets. Nobody Does It Bennett is also available on YouTube, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Tenson, do you have any final thoughts on The Frighteners?
Not too much, just, yeah, basically it's a fun movie. Don't expect, like, a masterpiece or anything, but, yeah, if you just want to go in and just relax and just watch a fun movie, then this is the movie for you.
Fair enough. Well said. For me, I've put The Frighteners as a movie that gets lost to time a fair bit. It doesn't help that it lives in a shadow as big as Lord of the Rings franchise.
Yeah, I know. I think that's why it's so forgotten. Yeah, because it was right before Lord of the Rings, and obviously Lord of the Rings was super popular.
Yeah, because this was 96, and 2001 was when Fellowship came out.
Yeah, I think pre-production for Lord of the Rings was like directly after this movie.
But on its own merit, this film was a unique mixture of comedy, action, and horror. Films like Ghostbusters do get compared to this, but for me, this film is a darker and more well-rounded experience than Ghostbusters, with a cast that has brought its A game, except for the New Zealand actors.
Yeah, we forget about the New Zealand actors, so it's fine.
I mentioned Michael J. Fox before, but I've always loved Michael J. Fox as an actor. From growing up watching him as Marty McFly in the Back to the Future films, to his role as Mike Flaherty in Spin City. I have enjoyed the energy and range he can bring at any moment. When I say range, I mean like, yeah, he can't play multiple characters. He plays like the same character again and again.
He does, yeah.
But he can hit comedy, then go drama, then go horror, then go comedy, and he can do it on a whim.
Yeah, he's great with that, for sure.
I thought this was Jake Busey's best ever role as Johnny Bartlett.
Has he been in anything other than this movie?
He's been in a few other things. He was in Enemy of the State.
Ah,
He
yeah.
played a lucky in that. He's been in a few things. He was in The Predator. They came out a few
gosh,
years ago.
yeah.
Wasn't great. A lot of TV roles.
Yeah.
But I thought he was very good in this. And his relationship with E.T.'s mom, Dee Wallace as Patricia, was enjoyably horrific.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it.
Trini Alvarado, who is Lucy, is solid. And she reminds me of Andy McDowell.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And Jeffrey Combs as Milton Damas. So Jeffrey Combs
Yes,
is
that's his name, yep.
Wow, what a performance.
He's probably the best performance in the movie for me.
Yeah, I'd say so. The Frighteners is definitely a movie that needs to be seen, as it's really an underrated gem. Like, we'll say it's not a great film, but to not have it been really known now, like if you go, oh, like The Frighteners, most people, even in New Zealand, sadly, are going to go, what's that?
Even though it was shot in New Zealand and by a New Zealand director.
If it wasn't for Lord of the Rings, I think it'd get more attention. But because Lord of the Rings is just after this, people concentrate on that and kind of forget The Frighteners a bit.
I think Heavenly Creatures probably gets more attention than this movie, which is sad because now it's, Heavenly Creatures is a fantastic film and I do like it more than The Frighteners, but I feel like The Frighteners shouldn't be as forgotten as what it is.
I think it's also because Heavenly Creatures and Lord of the Rings are more prestige films.
Yeah, definitely.
Rather, Frighteners is never going for awards. It's just wanting to kind of tell a story and go with it.
For sure.
Tenson, thank you for joining me tonight.
You're welcome.
And thank you for listening. Remember, some others may do it better, but nobody does it, Bennett. Take care.
It's the end of the show, and now it's time to go. Don't be sad, just be glad. Then nobody does it, Bennett.